Imagine staring at the stars on a silent night, feeling that sinking thought in your gut. What if none of this is real? What if the world around you, the air you breathe, the ground beneath your feet, even the thoughts in your head, are all elaborate illusions, like really convincing holograms? Sometimes it feels like waking up in the Truman Show or the Matrix without warning. Maybe you've even had a déjà vu moment, or a glitch in your memory that made you wonder, is reality just a video game glitch? It's a question both scary and mind-blowing, and it's not just science fiction. Real philosophers and scientists have seriously asked it. For a question this mind-bending, maybe it makes sense that we see it pop up both in science fiction and in serious research. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving headfirst into a question that makes reality itself feel like a puzzle box. What if we're living in a simulation? This isn't just a wild sci-fi movie plot. It's a serious idea discussed by thinkers like Nick Bostrom and tech leaders like Elon Musk. We'll explore its history, the science that touches it, the arguments for and against, and what happens when theory meets experiment. So strap in, because we're about to ask some of the deepest questions imaginable, and maybe even send your mind reeling a bit. For example, I remember first learning about this idea and scratching my head in amazement. It can be equal parts thrilling and creepy to think this way, and we're going to break it all down, step by step. The simulation hypothesis is the idea that the reality we experience is actually an artificial simulation. Think of it as one giant, super advanced video game. In other words, the whole world you see, feel, and hear might just be data in some cosmic computer. It sounds crazy, but it's been taken seriously by people like Elon Musk and many philosophers. Think about how video games have become incredibly realistic. The simulation argument asks, what if the entire universe is ultimately a kind of simulation on steroids? Philosophers have called this a modern twist on the question of what's truly real. Bostrom himself calls it an argument. But he isn't saying we're doomed, just asking how we would know. Maybe by the end of this video, you'll think twice the next time your phone glitches. Plato of ancient Greece kind of got there first, and he did it without any computers. In his famous allegory of the cave, he had us imagine prisoners chained in a dark cave, seeing only shadows on a wall and believing those shadows were the whole world. When one prisoner is freed and sees the real world outside, he realizes his old life was a pale illusion. Plato's point is simple but profound. What we perceive could be just shadows of a truer reality. It's a bit like realizing you've been staring at a 2D screen your whole life, then someone flips the switch to 3D. If Plato were alive today, he'd probably smirk and say, "I told you so." His message is timeless: question everything you see. Centuries later, René Descartes took the idea even further. He imagined a clever, evil demon, or you could say a trickster programmer, that could trick all our senses at once. Descartes asked, what if everything you see and touch is being faked by this demon? Even your own memories could be a lie. Descartes realized that if a demon were deceiving him, the only thing he could be absolutely sure of was, I think, therefore I am. In other words, the demon could cast doubt on all of reality except his own act of thinking. It taught us to never take our senses at face value. Even today we joke about glitches in the Matrix, a nod to how far this kind of questioning can go. It's a lesson in skepticism. As history marched on, thinkers kept the question alive. In 1969, engineer Konrad Zuse actually speculated that the universe might be computable, as if space itself were one enormous program ticking along. Other great minds like Hans Moravec and John Wheeler toyed with similar ideas. By the 1980s and 90s, science fiction took hold of the concept and ran wild. Novels and films from Simulacrum 3 to The Matrix made the idea famous, asking what it means to be free if your entire life is code on a hard drive. Those stories are basically the philosophical question wrapped in pixels. In our age of virtual reality and AI, that once sci-fi blur is closer than ever. Maybe one day, will indeed create worlds indistinguishable from reality, and then everyone will wonder if we are inside someone else's VR. The modern simulation argument was formalized by Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom in 2003. Bostrom didn't say we are definitely in a simulation, but he laid out a trilemma. 1. Maybe no civilization ever gets the tech to run realistic simulations. 2. Or future civilizations might see it as a waste of effort or unethical and choose not to. Or 3. If they do run simulations, they could run lots of them, so many that simulated people vastly outnumber real ones. If scenario 3 is true, then statistically it's far more likely that we are in one of the simulated worlds rather than the one original reality. He basically turned this into a probability puzzle that scientists and philosophers still debate today. His paper became a sensation online, sparking countless discussions and YouTube videos, like this one. Some really smart folks find Bostrom's argument compelling. For example, Elon Musk often talks about it. He once said he thinks there's only a 1 in billions chance we're not in a simulation. His reasoning is simple. Look at how fast technology is improving. 40 years ago, video games were just pixelated Pong. Today, they're nearly photorealistic virtual worlds. Musk points out that if this trend continues, we might create incredibly lifelike VR within a few decades. If billions of such virtual worlds exist, it would be statistically more likely we are inside one of those simulated worlds than in the original base reality. Musk isn't alone in this. Other tech gurus and popular podcasts have weighed in. Online, you'll even find memes. One joked, "Are you the real world or just NPC number 42?" Of course, not everyone is on board. Many physicists and philosophers play devil's advocate. For example, a 2025 study co-authored by Lawrence Krauss argued that a truly complete simulation of our universe is actually impossible. They claim the deepest laws of nature might be fundamentally non-algorithmic, meaning they cannot be generated by any step-by-step program. In plain terms, some aspects of reality might be beyond the scope of computation. If that's true, then mathematically the universe cannot be just a computer simulation. Other skeptics point out practical issues, like the enormous energy or information requirements of simulating every particle. Some just shrug and say, "This idea is interesting, but do I really believe it?" And that's fine. For many people, it's a fun cosmic puzzle rather than a scary conspiracy. It even gets curiouser when experiments come into play. Take the famous double-slit experiment in quantum physics, a real brain-bender. Richard Feynman once said it contains the only mystery of quantum mechanics. Here's the gist. If you fire particles like electrons through 2 slits and don't look at them, they create an interference pattern on a screen, as if each electron went through both slits like a wave. But the moment you measure which slit they go through, the electrons behave like ordinary particles, and the interference pattern disappears. In other words, the electrons seem to decide how to behave based on whether they're being watched. It's almost like the universe has its own lazy game engine. It only renders details when you look. If that sounds crazy, it just goes to show how mind-bending quantum physics can be. Another curiosity comes from space-time itself. Physicists often talk about the Planck length, roughly 1.6 times 10 to the power of minus 35 meters, which might be the smallest meaningful chunk of space. If that's true, space wouldn't be infinitely smooth, it would be pixelated at an unimaginably small scale. Scientists have even built experiments to look for this graininess. Fermilab's holometer, for example, uses laser interferometers to try to detect tiny, random jitters in space-time. The idea, described in their work, is that if you got so close to this screen of reality, you might see the equivalent of scan lines or pixels. They've noted that on a TV, if you're close enough, you can see the screen's pixels. In our case, that pixel size would be about the Planck scale. Think of it like stepping back from an old video game. Get too close and you see the blocky graphics. So far, the jury is still out on whether they've found any scan lines in our universe. It's an open question. Some thinkers also point to other strange coincidences in physics. For example, the constants of nature, like the strength of gravity or the masses of particles, seem set exactly to allow stars, planets, and life to exist. It's as if the parameters were dialed in just right. Some simulation fans cheekily call this the God code. Others marvel that mathematics describes physics so beautifully, as if the universe were written in math from the start. None of these points are proof of a simulation, but they add spice to the mystery. They remind us that our reality has some uncanny features that philosophers and scientists find fascinating. Whether you chalk it up to chance, design, or just cosmic coincidence, it's pretty incredible that we humans have the brains to even ask these questions about the nature of reality. So we've covered centuries of philosophy, cutting-edge physics, and even Hollywood blockbusters. And guess what? None of this proves we're living in a simulation, and none of it proves we're not. But sometimes, just asking the question expands our minds. Even astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has said he'd keep an open mind on this, preferring an agnostic shrug. In the end, the journey of asking is often more exciting than any single answer. As Elon Musk once pondered, maybe one day we'll find the master switch that reveals a deeper reality. Whether we are players in someone else's game or the universe is base reality, the mystery makes life more interesting. And there you have it. Maybe you're living in a simulation, or maybe not. Either way, keep questioning, stay curious, and enjoy the mystery. And if this is a game, don't forget to find the hidden Easter eggs. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your weirdest theory in the comments. See you in the next one.